Africa is in the spotlight. A continent of over 1.2 billion people. The culture, the food, the ideas, all coming together, uniting to build solutions. Tech Expo Africa is a social enterprise event that brings these ideas together in an exposition in a bid to foster deeper collaborations and unite communities. Tech Expo Africa, enabling development.
All right. So, hello, everybody. Hello. You are all welcome back. You are welcome to another edition of Tech Expo Africa monthly webinar. All right. I want to welcome every one of you. Thank you so much for joining us again. I really believe that for many of us, we are already eager to, as soon as we saw the flyer for today's event, we are expectant of what we will definitely glean from today's event. So I want to welcome every one of you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you wherever you are. All right, you all know our style, all right? My name is John. I am watching from Ondo State, Nigeria, Accra to be precise. So I want you to use the comment box right now. Tell me your name and where you are watching us from. All right, tell me your name and where you are watching us from. Okay, I can see Kola Wole Olulano. All right, please tell me where you are watching us from. I know that we have participants from Nigeria, from Ghana, from South Africa, from several places around Africa, right? I know some people are watching us, from South Africa. All right, Kola from South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to welcome every one of you. I believe today you are going to learn a lot. All right, I want to appreciate our guest. Our guest is already with us in the studio. All right, so get set, get ready to learn a lot. I know you are going to enjoy today's session. I myself, I came prepared. I'm here with my pen and my notepad. All right. Just as you want to learn, I too want to learn also. So thank you so much for joining again. Just before we take a short break, I know you will know somebody that ought to be here. All right. So do invite that person, tell that person Tech Expo Africa events have started. All right. We are live now on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Make sure you invite somebody just before we bring in our guest for today. All right, you'll see me again in a jiffy after the short break. Thank you. See you soon.
Africa is the world's second largest and populous continent made up of 54 countries, and each of these countries offer unique experiences for travelers, especially through its cities. The continent is known for its stunning vast deserts, extraordinary wildlife, rolling hills, highlands, and beautiful savanna grasslands. It also hosts extraordinary towns and cities that are enriched with culture, history and other activities. African cities have various cultures, landmarks, diverse populations and numerous entertainment possibilities. African cities are constantly among the fastest developing cities in the world. Even though a lot of improvement is still needed in some parts of this continent, Africa is home to some of the most beautiful and developed cities in the world. Some of these cities have futuristic skylines, concrete streetways, sparkling lights and buzzing energy that really draws people in and makes everything seem possible. If you thought Africa was underdeveloped, this video will without a doubt change your mind. Our list of the top 25 beautiful cities in Africa was created by considering the most beautiful and advanced cities in the African continent, with real opportunities and excellent infrastructure. So without any further delays, here are the 25 most beautiful cities in Africa.
Africa is in the spotlight, a continent of over 1.2 billion people. The culture, the food, the ideas, all coming together, uniting to build solutions. Tech Expo Africa is a social enterprise event that brings these ideas together in an exposition in a bid to foster deeper collaborations and unite communities. Tech Expo Africa, enabling development.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from. My name is Nemi Otobo, and just as John Ige has said, you're all welcome to the May's edition of the Tech Expo Africa monthly webinar. Like he also mentioned, get ready with your pens, get ready with your papers, get ready with every writing materials you have just to jot down. It's going to be explosive today. And today we are going to be talking about how to break into the exciting world of site reliability engineering. And we have our guest in the studio. He's geared up to give us everything that we need to know about how to break into the exciting world of site reliability engineering. So wherever you're joining us from, just as John has mentioned, thank you very much, John, for that exciting entrance. And wherever you're joining us from, please kindly state in the chat box, state your name, state the place you're joining us from, whether you're joining us from Ghana, from Tanzania, from Nigeria, or I can see Ogechi joining us from Nigeria. By the way, I didn't say where I'm joining from. I'm joining from the southwestern part of Nigeria. I'm joining from Osun State, Osogbo to be precise. That is where I stay. Thank you very much, everybody. I want you guys to join in and send in your names, send in where you're joining us from. We would love to welcome you. We're welcoming people, and then we appreciate your presence in today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Just as I said, we're going to be breaking into the exciting world of site reliability engineering. Personally, I don't know what that is, and I'm going to confess. So that's why we have our speaker for today, the person of Mr. Jude Ofili. He's going to be breaking down into bits and pieces every single thing that concerns site reliability engineering, and I want you all to be geared up. I want you all to be excited about what we have for today, So get your pens, get your papers, get all your writing materials, and we're going to be breaking into that. So just right about now, I can see another person, Bliss Tech. I like your name. I like the fact that it has tech in it, and this is Tech Expo Africa. Thank you so much. You're in the right place, Bliss. So Bliss Tech is joining us from Port Harcourt, from the southern part of Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us, Bliss. I know there is somebody from South Africa. Thank you so much for joining. Please kindly state where you're joining us from. I can see Oluwani Ayola. Thank you for joining us from Akure. That's the southwestern part of Nigeria. Thank you so much, Nee. Thank you so much for joining us. I want every one of us. Okay, I can see. Oh, Olulana. Thank you. Yes, from Pretoria, South Africa. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us. So right about now, we are going to be acknowledging one of our sponsors for today's webinar, and that is in the presence of Show Kenny Solutions. And I will not say much about them. I will just have that the media displays their video stating what the Show Kenny Solution does. But they've been really great to us, sponsoring the Tech Expo Africa webinar. Monthly webinar. They've been really great, and they're a great company. So I love that the media shares their video, and so you watch and understand what the Show Kenny Solutions is all about. So media, I'd like that you read us a way with that video.
At Show Kenny Solutions, we are committed to solving IT challenges through innovation and expertise. Since our inception 13 years ago, we've grown from delivering IT trainees to cutting-edge solutions in power management, security systems, software systems, and many more. Our services include solar and inverter systems, CCTV and security solutions, software solutions, website design and development, networking and IT support. Interestingly, we also train people on IT fundamentals, graphic design, website design and development, and many more. Our office address is located along SIB Road, Steldos International School, Alagbaka, Akure, Ondo State, Nigeria. You can also visit our official website at shokenisolutions.com, and you can also follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, all at Shokeni Solutions.
So that is it from the show Kenny Solutions, one of our sponsors for the monthly Tech Expo Africa webinar. And your whatever kind of IT solution you're looking out for, especially for solar panels, solar installation, for graphic designs, for cyber security, whatsoever it is you're looking for in the IT solution space, they are here for you. That is why they are called the Show Kenny Solutions. They're located in Nigeria and accessible all over the world, especially in Nigeria, in UK, and several parts of the world. So if you're looking out for them, if you're looking out for IT solutions, you can reach out to the Show Kenny Solutions. So right about now, we're welcoming our guests into the studio, into bringing up our guests upstage. Our guest in the person of Mr. Jude Ofili. He's going to be coming up and he's going to be breaking down into bits and pieces the exciting world of site reliability engineering, so you know from the top to the bottom what site reliability engineering is all about, and then you understand and you decide whether you're going to be taking it as a career role or you're not going to be taking it as a career role. So site reliability engineering by Mr. Jude Ofili. So I love that. I wouldn't read his profile, but we have something, a video that states his profile that gives you a better understanding of who Mr. Jude Ofili is. And without further ado, I'd like that the media kindly shares that video with
If you're
us.
a tech enthusiast, you can't miss the story of Jude Ofili, the SRE guru revolutionizing Africa's tech scene. Jude Ofili isn't just any senior site reliability engineer, he's a powerhouse of expertise and passion. With over 15 years of hands-on experience, Jude has mastered Kubernetes, Terraform and CI/CD pipelines, making infrastructure not just reliable but resilient. But what sets Jude apart? It's his dedication to measurable outcomes and strategic automation. He's slashed incident detection times by 40%, automated SSL TLS certificate management, and turbocharged CI/CD deployments. Talk about impact. Jude's mission goes beyond tech. He's a catalyst for change in Africa's emerging tech ecosystem. By advocating for operational excellence and DevOps maturity, he's empowering the next generation of African tech talent. So, whether you're a business looking for SRE expertise or a tech professional eager to learn, Jude Ofili is the mentor you need. Ready to transform your tech game. Connect with Jude and be part of the revolution.
All right. So glad to be here. So thrilled to be part of this very August occasion of the webinar for Tech Expo Africa, where we discuss several topics of note each month. And so it's a privilege for me to bring to you just a little notes I will share based on my expertise, not just in SRE, but born out of, just like the intro says, 15 years of experience, both across dev and operations spaces. And so
I would like to first of all welcome you guys once again to this August event. And before we start, I have a poll that I believe has been shared with you, our very esteemed guests, to just tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you're coming from, what kind of background you have. It would be nice to know what our audience is. I mean, represents across the spread of IT careers. And so, if we could just quickly answer the question now, Paul, just a single question, just tell us what we do and just about a minute. Okay. So the link to the poll has also been shared. I believe it has been shared with the guests. Okay. All right. So can we quickly get the results of the poll? Can we just quickly get if it could be projected on the screen? So we have an idea of. Okay. Okay, so far we see IT support, which is interesting. A lot of people that have come across my years in different industries, a sizable percent of them are in the field of IT support, which is a very good starting point as you enter the field of IT. Do we have other results to show? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so for the sake of, yeah, okay, so we have business analysts, business resource management, business BRM, that's business revenue management. Yeah, that's a very good spread. All right, so let's go back to our presentation for today. I'm sure we're all eager to know more about what the topic of the day is. SRE, career boost, how to break into the exciting world of SRE. Yeah, CTO, wow, fantastic. That is our ogas in the IT departments of the enterprise. Okay, can I have the presentation, please? All right. So once again, you are welcome. I'm glad to have a very good spread of resources from different aspects of the IT space, business analysts, IT support, and of course, CTOs and management resources as well. We are all contributing to deliver services and products to our customer. Welcome. I heard our esteemed presenter say he doesn't know what SRE means, and I'm sure some of us might not know what SRE is all about. But have you ever wondered how the services that you consume, how they're delivered to you, how almost always you have access to telecommunication services, banking services, healthcare services, because in this day and age, everything is digitally driven. Have you wondered how more often than not, you have access to these services? And on the rare occasion you don't have access to services, in no time, services are restored to you. Have you wondered? Before now, I'm sure some of us are familiar with IT operations. IT operations has been like the old grandpa in the neighborhood, always been there, always been present to deliver services. But with the advent of cloud computing, of course, extending into other services like AI, there's a need for a more matured, a more reliable, and a more automated way of guaranteeing services. And that's where SRE comes in. And so I will start by just giving a very short description of SRE before I expand upon it further. And so what is SRE? It simply means site reliability engineering. And it's a discipline that takes from the elements of software engineering and applies it to IT operations. So imagine thinking of a better way of performing IT operations in delivering services to customers. So the focus of SRE is on delivering reliable service, scalable service, highly available services, of course, via observability, measurement, and quick incident responses. And so the benefits, like I mentioned briefly, reduce downtime, reduce cost, reduce human errors, reduce, reduce cases of service unreliability, and improved user experience. And so, SRE finds itself at the very forefront of delivering quality services to the customer. But just to expand upon SRE a little bit further, you must have heard about DevOps. SRE, I would say, is a descendant of DevOps. But before we go further, what is DevOps? Well, I'm sure some of us might have heard of what DevOps might be, but I will just paraphrase by saying that DevOps focuses on building the product, right? It works on breaking down the silos between development and operations so that it runs on the principle of if you build it, you run it. But now, where does SRE now fall into into play in this whole situation? SRE is a subset of DevOps. I would argue SRE is an implementation of DevOps. It is more investigative, whereas DevOps is experimental. And SRE was born out of Google. Some of us, or I'm sure most of us, are familiar with Google from the Google search engines. But of course, Google goes beyond search engines. It was developed in Google, and it came out of a need to ensure that there's a smarter way of delivering IT services that did not just rely on the reactive approach. It was started by co-opting software developers and pushing them into operations. If you know the average software developer, most of the time, more often than not, they are averse to operations. But DevOps, and by extension SRE, breaks that paradigm and ensures that if you deliver a solution, you should be ready to support it. And so that is where SRE comes in. Now, on the screen, you would see an image of DevOps. And this actually describe the core stages of DevOps. We have the planning stage, the coding stage, the building stage, the testing stage, release, deploy, operation, and monitor. And so SRE borrows from this principle and all the tools that support these various stages to deliver services and to ensure service reliability, availability, scalability, and performance. And so I'll be talking about some aspects of this as we go on. And so, how relevant is SRE, right? SRE is highly relevant. I would say SRE is one of the fastest growing careers, professions you will see, not just in the IT space, but in the entire industry, really. And so if you look at this chart was taken recently. It says that 62% of organizations globally are leveraging SRE within their organization. And of this, 23% are learning and trying to implement SRE as a pilot project. That means what it tells us that there is room, is a green field. It has not reached maturity as the likes of maybe, of course, we're all familiar with software engineering. There's opportunity in this industry. Now, 68% of the organizations believe that SRE adoption has reduced the risk of service failures and unplanned downtime. 55% consider that user experience, user happiness has improved due to adoption of site reliability engineering practices and principles. But on the flip side, well, I would say it's a positive flip side. 56% of organizations are struggling to find the resources, SI resources to provide. That means there is huge demand in the across industries, health tech, fintech, agri-tech, banking, and all and whatnot for SREs. Because why? Because everything now is digital. most companies are moving their workloads, moving their applications to the cloud. And with the cloud comes the need for intelligent automated operations. And so on the chart by the right, you see the growth of SRE relative to other professions. And I must say, of the three top professions that you see, software engineering, DevOps, and site reliability engineer, you can go on Google to check this. SREs are the highest paid in the industry currently. And so I've said a lot about SRE. A day in the life of an SRE. I'm sure you are curious. What do they even do? This SRE, what do they do? Now, SREs are very vital. On the presentation page, I've listed just a few of the things that we do as SREs. We configure what we call actionable alerts. What does that mean? It means that we use observability and monitoring tools to track metrics, also to examine logs, also to look at traces, all with a view of ensuring that we get the right alerting from the system to ensure that nothing goes on cuts, meaning that whoever is on the on-call resource, on-call means whoever is responsible for managing incidents or issues is not caught unawares, and that when alerts come up, he knows what to do. SREs develop scripts and programs to automate process. It's interesting to note that there's a ratio that determines how an SRE should do his job. The practice is that 50% of the time of an SRE is spent in operations, triaging incidents and dealing with escalations, or even monitoring services, while the rest of the 50%, he is expected to contribute to projects, to contribute to product delivery, capacity planning, solutions design, sprint planning. Also, unlike the past where we had like teams in the operations, the core operations era of yesteryears, where we had a different team supporting the application, different teams standing up servers, different teams signing up networking. Now everything is controlled by by infrastructure as code, which leverages cloud computing, cloud services, the likes of GCP, Azure, and AWS. Other responsibilities of an SRE in terms of his day-to-day job are creating and maintaining deployment pipelines. Now, deployment pipelines are one of the core aspects of DevOps, in which we use what we call continuous integration, continuous deployment or delivery to ensure that services are produced at a predictable rate in order to meet the market needs. One of the other responsibilities of an SRE is to document playbooks, right, to ensure that issues do not repeat themselves, and even if they do, there's already a list of step-by-step things to do to ensure that they're quickly resolved. Now, what are the tools that the SRE requires? There are a lot of tools. This is just what I'm showing here is just a subset, but they are spread across the main areas that an SRE is concerned with. On the public and private clouds, of course, some of us are familiar with AWS, Azure, and the likes. Infrastructure as code is just a way of you automating the provisioning or creation of infrastructure on the cloud, right? Automating through code. And so the benefits are enormous. You could version your code, you could version your infrastructure. That means you know the state of your infrastructure at any point in time. You can easily roll back if there are issues, right? You can replicate the same infrastructure across multiple clouds with just minimal changes in terms of how you point to each cloud, right? Of course, you can automate delivery of solutions using things like Ansible and Chef and Puppet. And the CI/CD I mentioned, one of the core aspects of both the DevOps and SRE role is also something that you should have as an SRE. Of course, all of this is built on the bedrock of monitoring. You cannot be an SRE without being familiar with monitoring systems. One of the major and most popular monitoring systems is what we call Prometheus, which is an open source solution, right? I mean, it's available for free. You can learn it, you can use it without paying anyone any dime to build up that capacity to be an SRE. Now, how do you break into SRE, right? Like I said, SRE is one of the highest paying professions in the industry, right? You cannot go wrong if you choose this as a career for yourself. The sky is obviously the limit. Now, how do you break into SRE? I'm aware, right, that in the tech space in Africa, right, SRE is still a budding young discipline in the IT space, right? Unlike the likes of software engineering, quality assurance, and the likes, I would argue SRE is still coming up, it's still finding its feet. And so this is a very good time for you to break into the world of SRE. And so how do you do that, right? And so I tried to kind of capture different scenarios, trying to imagine, okay, if I was in the shoes of an average IT support person, business analyst, what have you, how do I break into this industry? The very first thing, learning. Learn a tech or two, right? And and it's paramount that you learn a tool across the major areas of SRE. And the major areas are observability, version control, IAC, configuration management, CI/CD, container orchestration, networking, and OS. Some of us are familiar with some of these terms. Some of us might not be, but that is fine. There's always an opportunity to learn. More than just learning a tool is the mind. One of the benefits of DevOps and SRE is that it brings a cultural change in the way we as IT professionals approach operations, because for the most part, right, in the last couple of decades, I would argue that the way we operate operations has been counterproductive. And so SRE borrows from elements of agile, right, to ensure that we have a dynamic, adaptable approach to managing operations. One of the ways you can go further in your ambition to break into SRE, after learning and having the right mindset, is by doing the work. It's not just about theory, right? Some of us who went to public universities in Nigeria, we are familiar with the need to cram, to memorize, right? From most memory, trying to remember what we're being taught now to pass. But no, that's the wrong approach to take with SRE. You need to get your hands dirty. You need to build stuff. Thankfully, there are what we call public repos, like open source repositories like GitHub and the likes, where you could actually see code that people have written. You could clone it. You could clone it. You could what we call fork it, as FORK, into your local system. You could copy work. You could do stuff yourself and upload it for other people to see. And I must tell you, this is one very good avenue. Employers look at your public activities through public repos to see what kind of stuff do you do, what are you capable of. So that is one very good way for you to break into it, right? It's not just about learning, it's also about doing. Beyond that, volunteer for opportunities. There are websites like Stack Overflow and the likes, where you can become an open source contributor. You could help to correct issues that are raised through this public fora. You could also volunteer into open source communities to look at existing open source projects, make corrections as the case may be, or treat what we call handle bugs. Bugs are issues that are discovered within a particular software or solution that need to be fixed. You could volunteer. That's one way by which you can build up the competence and the capacity, and also the track record you need, right? If you are the type that wants to look for a job as an SRE. Now, if you are an employee in a company, right, who maybe you're fortunate you work for a company or a big enterprise that already has an SRE team or a fledgling SRE team, you could volunteer to ask for a job rotation where you can shadow the other members of the team who are there to learn the job, right? There are very little alternatives to on-the-job learning, right? It's one very powerful way of getting the experience, the exposure you need. One other thing also you can do, if you happen to work as an employee in an enterprise who perhaps doesn't have a DevOps or SRE team, you could do your research, suggest. SRE is a smarter way to approach operations. You could lead efforts, right, to develop an SRE unit right? Borrowing from the elements you see online where you've read the success stories of other companies to implement in your own company. It's very powerful. Make the move. Don't be shy. Take courage. Do it. You might just find a uh, willing participants who would also support you along the way. And lastly, join a startup. I must say that if you are fortunate to have the opportunity to join a startup, take it. It's one very good way to build the experience you need, right, to break into SRE. Please don't mind the funny image that I put here of three monkeys. It just kind of captures the world of SRE because we are always on the action. There's a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of things to do. There's never a dull day in the life of an SRE. Right now, how do you go about learning? Very important. I stumbled upon some information that was shared on LinkedIn, and I thought that I should borrow it to share with my esteemed audience today. And now I've listed key skills you need as an SRE. Some of this some perhaps you may not have heard about until today. We have Bash scripting, which is, I would say, is a scripting language or program language in quotes that comes with the Linux or Linux derivative package like Ubuntu and the likes. Very powerful tool you need in your arsenal. Linux, of course, is the operating system that most servers run on. It goes without saying, you need to know Linux. JIT, version control. All the repos I talked about, they're all built on the concept of JIT. Funny enough, the same person that developed Linus Torvalds also developed JIT. So it's a very great combo for you to know. Python, some of us know Python, is also a very powerful tool in your toolbox as an SRE. Docker, fundamental. Most services now are no longer being deployed as monoliths. Means that everything is packaged as one. You have the front end, the back end, everything services as one, as it was done years ago. Now everything is containerized. Everything is now as a service. You might have like the web service, the middleware service, different services that come together to provide a solution. And what powers this is Docker. So knowledge of Docker is absolutely fundamental if you want to succeed as an SRE. CI/CD, like I mentioned, very important. Kubernetes is an orchestrator. That allows you to manage Docker containers in a smooth, intelligent, and sophisticated way. Of course, the various clouds, it goes without saying, as an SRE, you need to know at least one cloud technology. Terraform, very important. Automated provision and versioning of infrastructure is key. Prometheus, that's what helps you to do your observability or monitoring. Very important. Now, Argo CD, some of you might not have heard heard about it. It's actually what we call JIT ops, in which you use JIT, I've mentioned before, as your source of truth, right, to manage your Kubernetes-based applications or solutions. And so this gives you roughly how long it takes to learn. Approximately, if you were to do it in a sequential way, it takes 23 months. But who says you need to learn one by one? After all, in school, we did multiple courses at the same time. Just give yourself a target. I would say realistically, give yourself 6 months to 1 year to know the skill of dedicated practice, regular practice, week in, week out. Just sacrifice a couple of hours per week and you will get there in no time. I've also taken the liberty to share very nice and wonderful learning platforms that I feel has helped me and has helped a lot of people around the world, and that you can easily have access to. They are quite affordable, not so expensive, considering the purchasing power of the average African. I would say they are very good to make good use of this platform. So we have Code Cloud, Coursera, Udemy, right? We have the Kubernetes website itself, very powerful. Even though all they teach is Kubernetes and the ancillary tools, but it's still a very, very powerful source of material you need. Medium, also the SRE Google website. Google being the founders have really provided very, very good material on how to be an SRE, how to start as an SRE, and how to develop as an SRE. right? And so now, fine, I've been talking SRE. Okay, we all know where we come from as Africans. We know the culture. We know our experiences. And so how as an SRE do you blend in? How do you work with other people? And so I have this in my mind that I decided to share with you, the SRE culture and the SRE mindset. I believe these are two halves of the same coin, two halves that each together make a whole. Having the right mindset leads to the right culture, and the culture also reinforces the mindset. But let's start with the culture, because for me, this is very important, because as the saying goes, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture is very, very vital. And so what is the SRE culture? Now, some of you might be surprised by what I'm about to say. With SREs, failures are normal. I remember those days in the early stage of my career, I used to be afraid of failing, afraid of incidents, afraid of down. My heart would be racing. Boom, 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 boom. I think some of the white hair I see on my head came from those years, because always worrying, I must not fail. My solution must not fail. No, SRE flips that on its head. Failure is expected. The question is, how do you prepare for it? Failure is expected. Failures are normal and should not be unnecessarily frowned upon. There is no such thing as 100% available application. I used to be scared whenever I see my application not functioning well. I used to be scared until I came about this concept. In SI, we have something called error budgets. We have a budget for errors. The same way you have a budget for spending, right? You have a budget for spending your Naira, your CDs, whatever. There's a budget for errors, meaning that we expect errors to come and we have a budget for it, driven by what we call SLOs, SLAs, and SLIs. We have a budget, right? We do not, no shaking. We know it will come and we know how to handle it. We can negotiate with the rest of the business in terms of the error budget. Okay, as an SRE, these are the errors that we will have, that we think might occur this year, and we will not go beyond that. Do you accept it, business? And we'll now decide, okay, this is the error budget. Everybody's happy. Nobody's under unnecessary pressure. Now, there's what we call blameless postmortems. What does that mean? Blameless postmortems, just imagine somebody died, right? There's a cadaver, and you as a doctor, you need to examine what happened to that patient. That's what basically a postmortem means. So you're analyzing an issue after the fact, after it has occurred. For a lot of the time, right, for talking from experience, there used to be an avenue for blame game. Everybody is blaming each other, and the dangers are that it leads to lying, it leads to cover up, because nobody wants to look bad. I remember there was a day when something happened, one solution I supported, right? There was a data loss. My superiors, they didn't show in the office. They didn't show up in the office. I was the only one, and I had to present to the customer what happened. And there was like a large crowd waiting for me. I just imagined them with their knives and forks waiting to eat me alive. I'll never forget that period. It was a scary moment. I had to beg someone to help me, just to follow me there and just to appease them. You know, it was a terrible experience. But with SI culture, no, it's blameless. We're not looking at who to blame. We're looking at what happened, which brings me to the next point: psychological safety. There is safety. You are not unnecessarily scared, because we believe, right? Because we believe it's best to look at the process and not the person. Because we fundamentally believe in SRE that people want to do their best. People want to give their best. So we believe it. And so we use the 5 whys technique. Why did it happen? To get to the actual root cause of issue. Now, in SIA, work is regarded as a learning problem and not an executing problem, which is that in the case that if you do what you do succeeds, is a win. If it fails, it's still a win, because you still have opportunity to learn. Also, there's a concept of shared ownership and teamwork. We're all a team, right? No one knows more than the other. Documentation is key. Now, as a prospective SRE, this is what I would say. I mean, based on my experience and based on what I've researched, is vital for you to have. Be okay with stress. There's going to be discomfort. Learn to manage your stress. Accept anxiety about what you don't know, but act. Be proactive. Documentation is your gift to future you. Do not negate documentation. Embrace risk. Experiment. Test your hypothesis. Don't do guesswork. Get over issues. Be patient with yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Escalate your learning. Adopt intensive learning approaches. Learning does not have to be linear, right? You can learn multiples at the same time, right? Rest assured that with time, what was difficult for you to learn will become easy. Trust yourself and build trust in yourself. Now, coming to learning, how do we validate our competence as SREs? Some people advocate for certifications. Yes, they are good, but as you can see from this chart, most of the job roles you see, right, don't really mention certificate as mandatory. So why it's important to have, it should not be like a barrier to you. Now, talking about SRE with AI, of course, we've all heard about AI. AI is coming. Let me tell you, your job is safe. AI is only a tool in your arsenal as an SRE. Speaking from experience, and please don't tell anyone else, SRE has helped me to write some scripts that are taking me some time to learn. I don't have time to start learning, to start writing scripts all the time. I say, AI, help me do this, and I test the script, it's okay, and I deploy it. Simple, right? It's a tool. It also helps us to predict failures. Like there are even tools, like SRE tools, right? That are produced by companies that help the SRE, empowers SRE. Don't be scared of AI. AI is here to help you. Now, thank you for being with me up to this point. And so now, allow me the opportunity to leave you final thoughts, right? Embrace the SRE mindset. SRE mindset is all about automating. Measure, improve. Service improvements and all that. Upskill with certifications, right? It's great. But more than that, be involved. Be involved in open source communities, do projects, join esteemed communities like this one, Tech Expo Africa. Participate, explore, and learn. I also leave you with these quotes, some of my favorite quotes, and I really want to share with the rest of you. You don't understand anything until you learn more than one way. So learn, use different approaches to learn. If you really look closely, most overnight successes took a long time. Don't be hard on yourself. You can do it. So I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. Practice. And now this one, my father told me actually, whenever you wake up, it's your morning. Some of us maybe may not be too happy where we are in our careers. It's all right. The day you decide to take action, to become an SRE, is your morning, and the rest of it's going to be glorious for you. And lastly, the best time to do something was yesterday. The next best time is now. Make a move. Do it. Take action. Yes, I said it's exciting. It may come with its challenges as an SRE in terms of the workload. Yes, in some cases, work-life balance might be suspect, but the opportunities are immense to learn and to earn a good income. Thank you very much. And so now we'll be opening the floor to questions, right? If you have any questions to ask, I'm so glad to give my best to respond to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jude Ofili. So the voice you heard was the voice of Mr. Jude Ofili. So I can see Adam Abdulrazak from Lagos. Thank you so much for joining us, Adam Abdulrazak. So, Mr. Jude, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So thank you very much for that exquisite talk on SCR. So I would also confess at this point, I was writing. I was writing, but at some point I had to stop writing because it was just a lot. Honestly speaking,
it's a lot, actually. It's a lot. I try to compress it, but it's a lot. But then I would encourage you, go online, a lot of materials, support your learning. There's rich resources online. In fact, you don't even have to pay anybody to learn. Go to YouTube, free of charge.
Yeah, I can see Shola Ken is saying that it was an amazing session. Obviously, it was an amazing session because at the point I had to stop writing my book. I was like, what will I write again? I'm confused. No, I was confused, but it was a lot for me to take in because just for the first instance. Because I said that this is my first time hearing about it. I can see Fumilayo Kende. Thank you very much for joining us from England. So this is my first time hearing about SCR and really understanding. Yes, of course, I've heard about site reliability before, but really understanding in depthly what it is, and it's quite a lot. Thank you so much for giving us this detailed breakdown. So I would like to ask, would you be willing to share the slides for these
Of course, definitely.
participants?
Of course.
Okay, beautiful. So people like me can be able to go back to reread the slides and
Yeah,
get the
it's fine.
insights. So
Sure.
our participants, I like that wherever you're joining from, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and the rest of them. Yeah, I like that question. I like this question we have. So there's a question on the screen. What inspired you to pursue a career in SER? But before you take on that, I'd like to say to every one of us who's joining from wherever you're joining us from, whatever social media platform you're joining us from, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, please kindly comment. Send a comment with your email address. You send your email address via the comments box so that we can send the slides for today's webinar to you. Please, it's very important. Send in your email addresses. So, Mr. Ofili, I would like that you answer this question. What inspired you to pursue a career in SER?
That is a
And
fantastic
while you're
question.
answering that, hold on, please. While you're answering that, every participant, please kindly send in your question if you have questions. Send in your questions. It's very important as well. So kindly write on, please. Thank you.
That's a fantastic question. I would say that's a somewhat interview question. Let me just an expose to you guys. If you when you're ready to apply for jobs, it's somewhat like an interview question. Very good. And so I've always seen myself as a problem solver. Right from a young age. I remember one of my teachers, first teacher said, Jude, you always leave the simple things and go for the hard things. Yes, because the hard things is one way by which you can stretch yourself, right? So I started my career as a software engineer and a database administrator, and it was fun. Then I decided, okay, I want to explore other aspects of IT, and I moved into operations. And I enjoyed operations because I wanted to be like in the, I could really see how the role I play, how it translates to the bottom line, how it actually translates to the way the company makes money and stays in business. And so that led me to now look at, okay, operations is good, but operations for a long time did not really get the praise it deserves, right? We heard this saying that operations is a cost center. In one of the companies that I worked for, we had this building, and the operations team was always sitting in the floor below the development team. So to tell you that pictorially that we are below developers, which was not true. We all contribute. And so when the opportunity for SRE came, which is applying automated, innovative ways to operations, I grabbed at it. I said, yes, this is how I imagine operations being done. Because, like I said, I started out as a software developer, but I never really enjoyed front end work. I loved back end. That's why I combined it with database administration. And so for me, SI was, even though I know that there's a career called back end engineering, right? But for me, it was like a love affair. I actually appreciate that aspect, and so that's what drove me to this career. I'm a problem solver at heart. I have friends who are into business, making money, who are into management, because management is a career as well. But I love solving problems, and so if you enjoy solving problems, if you get a kick from seeing your work get results, then SIS for you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jude. Thank you so much. So I have another question. It says, now I've been saying SER rather, it's SRE.
Yes.
SRE. Yeah. Thank you. So now I have a question here, and he says, how did you first hear about site reliability engineering? What was your
Okay.
first contact with it?
So I first of all heard about SRE about 2 years ago. Before then, it was DevOps. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
DevOps was all the rave. DevOps was growing. Actually, SRE as a discipline was was established in the year 2003 in Google. But of course, being in Africa at that time, I wasn't exposed to it as. So I would say from an African perspective, I would say I was one of the early adopters of that. But from a global perspective, I would describe myself as a latecomer because, as an African, you are like several steps behind in terms of your exposure,
Yeah.
right? But thank God for the internet. Thank God for the opportunity to liaise with colleagues all over the world to fast track your learning, right? And so, yeah, and so that's how I came out with SRE. For me, SRE was like the answer to all my questions as regards how do I do operations better. You understand? Yes, I appreciate the work that software engineers do. I appreciate it, but I never really enjoyed it because I felt, I mean, the only aspect that I really enjoyed in that was just the backend stuff, like using Java and the like. So that was what I liked. But then software, but then SRE, there is just much more than just programming. Programming is just one aspect, and but the way SRE is applied differs according to the enterprise. In more mature enterprises like the global companies like Google and Facebook, and an SRE is expected to actually develop code apart from operations. It works side by side with the DevOps team to ensure that from an operations perspective, from a performance perspective, from a reliability perspective, from an availability perspective, the solution is doing what it's meant to do, is giving happiness and joy to the customer. In other less mature areas, like maybe some companies in other parts of the world, maybe Asia, Africa, SRVs are tilting more towards operations, right? Maybe scripting. Maybe scripting is the highest form of programming that they do, using Bash scripting, Python scripting. So it actually depends on where you find yourself, right, or what's how you want to progress in your career, right? So I would say yes. I was a relative latecomer to SRE. If I had to assess myself by global, we don't have the global companies or people across the world. But from an African perspective, I would say I was one of the early adopters of this technology. Yeah, I have another question. How best do you think I can get started in this career path? And are there job opportunities in Gambia or remotely? Yes, there are opportunities, massive opportunities. Now, like I said in the slide, that had to do with how do you break into SRE. If you happen, let's say you're an IT support, right? I'm sure the question is, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of always fighting fires? Like you are reacting, like they're telling you something. Imagine customer, you learning from a customer or from the business that your own solution that you manage is down. Imagine, aren't you tired? SRE brings a different approach. You automate, you are proactive, you deploy tools, right? So even as an employee, even if your company doesn't have an SRE unit or department, you could start by practicing these SRE principles, right? Learning the tools. A lot of these tools are open source, meaning you don't have to spend money. So you could convince your employers to go this route. Do it, but you have to do some work, do some research. You need to be able to convince your superiors that this is important. So in that way, you are creating the opportunity for yourself. You don't have to wait to get a job elsewhere. You can create the opportunity for yourself. Even beyond that, there are jobs, remote jobs you can get, right? And there's even some companies can even poach you right from Africa, wherever you are, and say, come and work for us. But you need to show evidence. Do you have public repos? Do you have work that you can boast of? So the ball is in your court. You can do it, but you need to do the work. Thank you.
Thank you very
Okay.
much, Mr. Ofili. So we have another one. Yeah, it says, what does a typical day? I think you mentioned that already.
Yes, I mentioned that there's a lot to do.
At
Like
your
I have work stacked for me like for the next couple of months. And the beauty is that to an extent, I define the work I do. Part of the work I do is also based on the sprint planning, right? Because you are given work items to complete within a sprint. A sprint is like a 2-week period in which you're supposed to deliver work, maybe support a project or support the delivery of a solution or automate tasks. And SRE should frown at manual processes. And you see, there's this saying: automate all automatables. Anything that can be automated, you should automate. Do not be and say, oh, this is how we have been doing it. You use ClickUp. ClickUp means you'll be clicking. Like if you imagine you open a GCP console, Azure console, you are clicking, like you want to create a virtual machine or a load balancer. You are clicking. No. You automate. Terraform as code. Terraform infrastructure as code. Whether it's Terraform you use, whether it's Pulumi, whether it's Ansible, infrastructure as code, configuration management as code is your friend, right? Is your friend. So, of course, part of my job involves being on call, right? We are part of people that are responsible for ensuring that the services that make the customer happy are there. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Mr. Jude, we seem to be running out of time, but I would like to ask you this one question. So you say that SRE is new in the African space, and then
It's relatively
comparing that
new,
to the
but
global.
yes. Comparing that to what exists globally, there are unicorns and startups. If you don't mind me mentioning some companies like came up in the last couple of years, likes of MoneyPoint, right? Likes of Paystack. These are startups who have become unicorns, who are really like become billion-dollar companies, right? So it's relatively new. Um, I mean, I would say that the SRE, well, if I were to speak from as a Nigerian, I would say the entire episode of SRE cannot be more than 5 years, like 5 years ago.
Mm,
Cannot be more
okay.
than five.
All right.
So it's a growing industry. Unlike software engineer, where you see, in fact, there are software engineers that are like grandfathers now. You understand? So
Mhm.
yeah, thank you.
All right. So I'd like to just reiterate that for anybody who is looking to getting into the SRE space, it's not late for you, not at all. But then I would also like to ask you, what is a two questions in one rather. So we wrap up the question and answer session and we'll go over to the next item on the agenda. So the questions are, what was the biggest, first of all, the biggest mistake, one mistake you made in your SRE journey, and what was the biggest challenge you faced while on your journey?
Wow. Well, I would say the biggest mistake is not starting early enough. That's
Okay.
what I would call as my biggest mistake, because when I look back, there are opportunities that I could have leveraged SRE tools and principles to give better service to customers. And so, what was the second question again? Sorry.
The challenge you faced, one big challenge you faced on your journey.
One challenge that we face as SRE is that because it's a relatively new company, even in the Western world where I currently reside, it's still relatively new. Like some companies are only just adopting SRE. In one of the first slides that I shared, right, 65% of companies do not struggle to find the resources. So it's a growing. So there some people do not yet appreciate what SRE is all about, or maybe there's some work to be done in convincing them that this is not just your regular operations, right? And so you have work to do in educating. So one of the challenges is that you have to learn a lot too. You have to learn. There are tools that you need to master. You can't say there are about 5-6 pillars of site reliability: observability, IAC, container management, CI/CD, code versioning. You have to know those. They are your bread and butter. And so I would say you have to adopt this broken comb mindset. Broken comb mindset in terms of what it simply means that you have to be a specialist in multiple areas. So I want you to visualize a broken comb. Like broken comb, you have some combs, some teeth of the comb is okay, normal, some are broken. So in some aspects you are very good, some aspects you are learning. So you have to know that you can't just say, oh, that you are going to be like a T-shaped person. You only know one thing. No. So there's a lot to learn. So that's what I would say is one of the challenges, keeping up with technology, keeping up with with new stuff. It's fun, but it's work, right? So but in terms of the work you do, I would say it's fantastic. There's always something to do, always something to learn, and the career prospects are great. As an S from a senior from an SRE, become a senior SRE, a lead SRE, or a staff SRE, then a CTO. So you have a path, right? You can grow your career to top management, and you can also run your own startup. Most startups nowadays are driven by, I mean, they are of course driven by tech. And as an SI, you have a well-rounded view of all the aspects of operations, and you become a very good candidate to be a CTO in such startups. So thank
All
you
right,
very
sir.
much.
Thank you so much. So with that, we round up the question and answer session. I like the fact that you said it's challenging, yet it's exciting, and I believe that that's one of the reasons why you're stayed put in the SRE SRE career role, because you've said that one thing that keeps you going is the problem-solving aspect of SRE. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Mr. Jude
Thank you.
Ofili. And I believe that as I'm grateful, everybody on this call, in this webinar, is also grateful for the exciting work you've done. Hopefully, we'll bring you some.
Glad. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you. Thank you.
Africa is in the spotlight. A continent of over 1.2 billion people. The culture, the food, the ideas, all coming together, uniting to build solutions. Tech Expo Africa is a social enterprise event that brings these ideas together in an exposition in a bid to foster deeper collaborations and unite communities. Tech Expo Africa, enabling development.